From Washington, I'm Christopher Cruz. Protesters in several Egyptian cities attacked the offices of the ruling Muslim Brotherhood on Friday. And pro- and anti-government groups gathered in the capital, Cairo, after President Mohamed Morsi announced that he would take new powers. Mr. Morsi said his decisions now cannot be changed by the courts or any other group. Friday, he told supporters at the presidential palace that he wants to move Egypt forward as a secure and safe nation. He said he does not want to control the country by himself. Thousands of opposition supporters gathered in Cairo's Tahrir Square on Friday to protest the president's decision to take on new powers. Police fired tear gas at the crowds. In the cities of Port Said, Ismailia, and Alexandria, protesters threw stones and explosives and set fire to Muslim Brotherhood offices. Activists report heavy fighting between Syrian government troops and rebels who want to keep control of neighborhoods south of the capital, Damascus. Also Friday, Iran's parliament speaker Ali Larijani met with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in Damascus and with Syria's parliament speaker. Syrian state media reported that Mr. Larijani accused countries in the area of causing problems in Syria, but he also said there is a need for democratic reform in the country. Israeli gunfire at the Gaza Strip border has killed a Palestinian man. It was the first death since a ceasefire between Israeli and Hamas fighters stopped 8 days of deadly fighting. The ceasefire took effect late Wednesday. With the killing, Hamas accused Israel of violating the ceasefire. Palestinian medical officials say the dead man was shot as he came near the border fence Friday with a group of Palestinians. Israeli officials say soldiers fired warning shots into the air when about 300 Palestinians began moving toward the fence. The military says when they refused to move back, troops fired at their legs, wounding several of them. Officials in Afghanistan say a suicide car bomber has attacked several government offices in eastern Afghanistan. 2 people were killed in the incident Friday, and at least 70 others were injured. Officials say the explosion happened in Maidan Shar, the capital of Wardak Province, near the Wardak Provincial Governor's buildings. Several coalition service members suffered minor injuries. The Taliban has claimed responsibility for the attack. The group said it was reacting to the executions of 4 Taliban members at a prison near Kabul. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English from Washington. The President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, has suspended the head of the army. The move came after the general was accused of selling weapons to armed groups in the eastern part of the country. The suspension of Major General Gabriel Amizi came 3 days after the rebel group M23 defeated Congolese forces and seized the city of Goma. The government says the general will be investigated. A United Nations report released late Wednesday said General Amizi helps supply weapons to Congo's many rebel and militia groups. Separately, M23 fighters and the Congolese army continue to fight for control of the town of Sake, west of Goma. The army gained control of the town on Thursday, but the rebels regained control on Friday. A VOA reporter in Sake says most people have now fled the town. Election officials in Sierra Leone say President Ernest Koroma has won re-election with more than 58% of the vote. The head of the National Election Commission made the announcement Friday. The president's main rival, Julius Maada Bio, received about 37%. Results were not announced for parliamentary elections, which also took place on November 17th. President Koroma faced 8 candidates. He needed at least 55% of the vote to avoid a second or runoff election. The President of the European Union, Herman van Rompuy, says an EU budget deal may be possible early next year. He spoke Friday after a 2-day meeting in Brussels. Officials of EU countries at the meeting failed to reach a budget agreement. The talks have divided the group. Wealthy member states are on one side, and countries seeking more financial assistance are on the other. The British Prime Minister David Cameron said there has been no progress on plans to cut spending in the EU. He said the group needs to reduce what he called unaffordable spending. He said cuts are being made in Britain's budget and must also be made by the EU. And finally at this hour, many Americans spent some of their Friday shopping. The day after the country's Thanksgiving holiday is known as Black Friday. It is one of the biggest shopping days of the year, as people prepare for the holiday gift-giving season. Many stores opened very early Friday morning to mark the beginning of holiday shopping. The Monday after Thanksgiving is also a popular day for shopping online. Retail industry watchers call it Cyber Monday. About 70% of the American economy comes from consumer spending, and many stores say that sales during the year-end holiday season represent 1/4 of their yearly income.